We always fix it in post. By fix it in post, I mean one of us is going to have to do it later.
It's me. Hi.
The
problem, it's me.
Are we live?
We are.
Damn it.
Yeah. Okay. Glad you're here, buddy.
We need to get a few ground rules out there.
What's that? Oh yeah, Josh. You have to sign a contract in blood.
We do still have to mention all the
make a terrible
joke. We do still have to mention.
Oh, we have to, yeah, huh?
We have to mention Sephora face blush.
Oh yeah.
I don't know why my channel was the one they picked, but
YouTube was like, if you don't mention this, you're getting shut down.
Do you need your drink, good sir?
Do I have a drink?
Yeah, you got a beer. Do you want it?
Oh, I do have a beer.
Alta offered me $10.
Do I need to make sure that Naked Smurfette is not shown on the channel?
Oh, please, no.
Alta offered me $10 a video to mention the
I don't want to have
face
to
blush.
explain that one.
Monica's gonna watch it back. Michael?
What? It was in my cup. I mean, to quote Lil Wayne, why do you care what's in my cup? It's my cup.
I was about to say, what is that one rapper's name?
I'm trying to make sure it's like pointed
to you.
I love that sound. Yeah, so that way I drink this
I
way.
like that sound for me.
And you just see this guy.
He's got a gun.
And a belly button.
Crap, we're
That's
not family friendly anymore. We're not family friendly anymore.
That's perfectly fine.
Bee-boo.
Are we just getting B-roll right now?
I'm waiting on him to open the can. That's
Is it recording now?
Yeah.
I can't wait to watch Speculation.
Oh yeah, same. It's gonna be great.
You gotta take all this and just cut it to the end of the video, but leave it all in.
I am gonna. That'd be great. Just throw it at the end after the credits. The credits is just a notebook page of random names.
I figured with all the crap in here, there wouldn't be as much echo. But
Other
there still
YouTube
is.
creators.
We just literally all just literally thank random YouTube creators that make no different efforts for the rest of the video.
They're completely unrelated. Thank you to PewDiePie.
Thank you, Vanos Gaming.
Thank you to that guy that scratches
H2O
off
Diller.
scratchers on YouTube that I watch all the time.
Thanks, Rick Cactus.
Yes.
Thanks, Linus from Last
Oh my gosh.
Oh man.
Alright, are you ready?
Not at all.
Alright, good.
Because I have no idea what we're doing, and that makes it even better.
Oh, it's fantastic. I love it. Here we go.
The last time this happened, it was a train wreck and great at the same time.
It's great. I thought it was fine. I'm gonna be.
I made a challenge to Michael and he never completed it.
What was my challenge?
Build a Marisi deck.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I'll do
You know what happened?
Hmm.
I put it on Moxfield.
Oh.
And
You know
then
what?
deleted it like probably 3 months later.
You know what I thought he was
going
gonna say? I thought he was gonna say, I realized it was Nio and I couldn't even make it through the deck.
Yes, right on. Thank God. Yes.
And with that, welcome back to another podcast episode of Hometown Commander. You dang right, that's how we're starting. That's better than what I was going to say. I was going to say, Millzy, you know what I just realized with the cold months and everything? I found out something kind of weird about myself.
If you make a Frozen reference, this episode's done.
Let it go.
Okay. I'm done.
No, for some reason I like the smell of heaters when they haven't been working or not been used like all year.
Isn't it great?
It's a good smell.
That's terrible.
Doesn't it slightly worry you, but you feel great at the
Do
same
you
time?
know what that smell is?
Yes.
Okay.
It's terrible. Yeah, it's bad. It's
Yeah,
bad.
you should not be smelling that.
Well, okay, listen.
This is when Josh pulls up the diagram of the average heating unit and then explains.
I do have one of those, but just because I work in mold.
It goes back to the Naya reference.
Yeah.
We're back for another episode of whatever we're calling our podcast. I don't know if we've ever actually decided on that.
We're not.
Because, that would be too easy. Today we have Josh as a special guest.
Hey, Josh.
Hello.
I mean, because he was the only one available. What's going on?
Out of the 3,000 people on the list, he was very last.
I offered a lot of money to a lot of them.
Now we are back today to.
He was actually the only one I had derogatory
gosh.
photos of. To
Yeah. All right, so we are back today to not necessarily wrap up the year because the year isn't going to be wrapped up by the time this is actually posted.
Oh yeah, there are so many videos coming out.
Yes, exactly. But to wrap up a little bit of this year, most of this year, but about.
Do you guys know that sets came out this year?
Yeah, about 6 of them.
I just assumed that we perpetually just had new cards all the time. I didn't know
No.
they released sets anymore.
No,
It feels like that with the way spoiler seasons are running now.
this is very true, actually. Well, I was a good little boy this year for
Yeah,
Christmas,
you
and I prepared this podcast very well because I totally did not forget at all. So what we are going to do is we're going to run down some stats that Millzy has basically accomplished because he has done it not only on his own, but mostly on his own. So I'm going to give him the praise. I'm going to give him the accolades. He did a really great job this year. Give him
I
a
don't
hand.
sleep a lot.
Yay.
I'm just kidding. Like, no. I don't sleep much. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. At this point in time, we are currently sitting at a whopping 2,000.
2094, I think.
Oh, well, I'm at 2092.
Oh, okay.
Let me refresh.
I could be wrong. I thought
I'm at 2092. I'm not gonna lie. There was one day I looked at it. It said like 2020 something, and I was like, "Oh, sick! We're almost at 2024." And it went back down to like 2018. And I was like, "What? Three people wanted to do
one
one
time I
month?"
looked at it, it was 2004. I'm like, "What a good year!" I'm just like.
So we are currently at 2,092 subscribers. We currently have 100.
Over 1 million views.
There it is. Thank you.
Which
Over
is a
1
crazy
million views.
stat. I texted Mikey this week when I saw the stat, and I was like, it doesn't sound like a lot, I guess, in the grand scheme of things. But when you look at the number on paper, it seems like a lot.
Yeah.
And honestly, we really do thank you guys, and Millzy really thanks you guys. The videos are still going to be pumped out. We are doing, I think, a pretty decent job with our arena content. We've sticked with it for 2 weeks now. We're going to be on week 3. Look for those videos coming out.
Every video's gotten at least 1 view, which I feel like is an accomplishment.
That's pretty great, honestly.
There were a lot of episodes of Millzy Brewers when we first started that didn't get very many views, so that's a positive. Yeah, I was really intrigued when I put out that vote on the channel of what the responses were going to be. It was more or less half and half between the viewers on whether or not they wanted to see Brawl content or not. I decided that was good enough.
Yep.
So.
And I can't stop playing arena, so I
well,
joined him on that.
as it turns out, we don't have the ability to play commanders with our friends at any time at instant speed. So, arena,
and instant speed.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Anyway, no. So arena's the next best thing, right?
Yeah.
And
unfortunately, yes.
none of us are Moto players, so that's not an option. So we play arena.
What players?
Moto, MTGO.
Oh, online, yes. Oh no, that platform's awful. Moving on. So, yes, we.
I have nothing. It's bad.
Yeah, exactly. So, we are super excited to see what next year comes, and with next year, we have a lot on the list. But we'll get there here in just a second because I want to talk about 2024. We're not done yet with it just yet. So, what we're going to talk about today is I have questions for each of you, and they're going to be fantastic questions. They're not challenges. You don't have to think very hard. You might, but you're going to be excited about it. All right. So we're going to jump right into it. The first one is easy. What was your guys' favorite card that was released this year? I already know your answer. Shut your mouth.
Oh my god.
What was the first set this year?
First set was, Murders of Karlov Manor. Then it had...
OTJ was not this year, was it?
OTJ was this year.
It was after Karlov Manor?
Yep.
It goes to show you how much attention I
Then MH3 came out. Then Assassin's Creed came out. Then Bloomborough. Then...
Duskmoor.
Thank you.
Duskmoor.
And then, what did we just have? Foundations.
Yeah.
There we go. And we're done.
It's Starter Master. I was kidding.
Not yet. January. But anyways, what was your favorite card? I know my answer, but go ahead.
I feel like for me, the card that I've probably enjoyed playing the most, because I think this is the answer you're expecting from me, is when I read Ocelot Pride for the first time, I knew it was going to be a card I'd really enjoy. And I have not seen that card in a game other than one time and it not completely take over a game. Now I'm using it most of the time in token decks where literally making tokens is what you want to do. Right? So it's been telling me, I love the, I guess to me I always pair it in my head with the new Flippa Johnny. Because to me they work kind of so well together.
Yeah, they're super
I've kind of always looked at them as a package even though they're not.
Yeah.
I was actually thinking you were going to say Fanatic Aronas.
I love Fanatic Rose. I think it's a great card in a lot of ways, and in fact, it kind of reinvigorated some of the love I'd been meaning to put into Sirac and Gorklaw. So I'd say, probably because it went in my favorite deck, it'd be easy to say Fanatic Aronas, but I really like that Ocelot Pride Ajani package as well. Especially that one time I managed to turn one Ocelot, turn two Ajani, and it was rough
Yeah.
at the table.
We unfortunately weren't at that table at that time.
Yeah.
And what sucks is he will quote that multiple times, and I'm like, man, if only I was there. I'm so sorry I wasn't.
It made it even better to reference another set from this year. I believe it's on the live stream. I'd have to go back, but I'm pretty sure it was a turn 3 Toby after a Johnny. It was rough. It was a rough curve.
That's evil.
And it was Jet Mirror, so you know.
Yeah.
It did get
by
better.
turn 4. Yeah, by turn 4, you're done. I'll give my answer if you want to think about it for another second.
Sure. You can go
Okay.
ahead.
So my favorite card is probably a obvious choice for myself, at least. Murmuration. That card's
so cool.
That card is amazing. There's actually 2 from Bloomburrow that I'm going to talk about. So the first one is Murmuration. The enchantment that gives all birds +1/+1, and then whenever you cast a spell at at your instep, you get a 1/2 bird Stormcrow for however many spells you cast that turn, which is pretty sweet.
And the second one's obviously Shrike Force, because I mean, it's such a good bird.
Definitely not. Definitely not. It is a good bird, but actually, it is one that makes 4 birds. It is, because every time I have it, it changes the game completely. It's Perch Protection. You gift an extra turn to somebody, and then you make 4 2/2 birds. And then everything that you control phases out. You can't change. You can't die, basically.
I feel offended that you haven't given me an extra turn yet with Perch Protection.
I'm very sorry. Maybe tonight after we're done recording, we'll play.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah. So, anyways, don't look at me. I know what I did wrong. I know what I did wrong the other night or last week. Anyways.
That's the last time I could think that I just looked at a situation and was like, I had to go, but I was like, I'm just gonna scoop. Hopefully this game will get done sooner.
I looked at him and Andrew. So last week we had this really long game. Josh was playing the cows. I called them the cows. They're actually Fire Song and Sun Speaker. He ended up doing this.
You saw Blasphemous Act every game. That's something we need to talk about, but then we're not going to talk about it.
The only game I didn't see Star of Extinction was that game that I did gain life.
I was about to say, he did the Blasphemous Act thing where he gained, I don't know, you were up to
what was it, 17 times 13 or something like
that?
It's
a lot of life.
He was up to a lot of life. Unfortunately, I referred to Andrew and Josh, who were the only 2 opponents left at the time, because Zach unfortunately did leave after he died.
I actually, out of spite, crewed my Escus Chariot so that you got 13 more life.
Yes. Then, also out of spite, I just realized, I looked over at my commander Castrol and was like, the only reason why Castrol's in the command zone is because of you. So anyways, yeah, that was a fun time. What's your favorite card from this year?
So there's one that I enjoy playing a lot, but there's one that I've cast probably multiple thousands of times this year, most of them online. The one that I really enjoy playing the most is probably Trouble with Pairs. A lot of people hate that card, not just for the art, but also because they hate the play patterns.
I think it's mostly the art.
Yeah. I've heard a lot of people complain online about the play patterns that it tries to push, because it tries to prevent anyone from doing 2 of anything that you want to
for
do.
so long in Commander.
Yeah,
it's not like it's the first of that kind of card.
Yeah, I know.
You've seen so many of them in so many different ways that it wasn't surprising to me when the card came out. I didn't think it was OP, but it's definitely one of those cards that can help stabilize a game, if because someone may start to think twice about it.
I just like it because when I pitch down to hand size at the end of turn, I can fill my graveyard with knights in my night deck.
As it turns out, filling your graveyard in a deck that wants to fill its graveyard is very good.
Oh yeah, it's nice. It's nice. So good card selection on that. But the card that I think I've cast multiple thousands of times has been Voya.
Yeah.
Oh man, Voya has put in some work this year since I've been playing a lot of Brawl, and she's my number 1 Brawl commander. Before her, it was Shelob from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
But I don't know do they track win percentages per deck?
Not inherently, but if you get an alternate thing like Untapped or something like that, you can do it. And they're free and they really don't affect your experience.
I'm trying to think of something like that because I don't know if it tracks it, or I didn't know if it tracked it, but
this is one of the really good things about Untapped.
Crazy,
I don't use Untapped to do any of the drafting stuff that you can do with it, but the free version, it will track your decks, your winning percentages, things like that. You can pay for more deep end stats, but it will give you the basic stats for free.
I should look and see because I feel like my win percentage on that thing is crazy high. Like Voya just puts in so much work, even against some of these higher end decks that you can. Well, that everyone knows are the high-end decks because of the all the stats that were leaked earlier this year. But
I feel like Void is one of those commanders I can think this year where I read it and on first read I was like, this commander is going to be a problem.
Oh yeah.
Not because it's an unfair card, but because it pays off what it wants to do.
Oh yeah.
I think it's interesting to juxtapose Voya with Nadu, right?
Yeah.
Because they're both cards on first read that you know are problems. The difference is Voya takes an archetype in Elves that's already pretty good and gives you a payoff for it in colors that it really doesn't have a payoff for it.
Yeah.
And Nadu is a literal one-card engine, and you
Yes.
could see the difference in why one is banned now and one is not.
Well, I think the other problem that you run into is in a lot of those competitive formats that Nadu was banned in pretty quickly. Is
Modern.
It was a mess. Is
Yeah,
what it was.
well, he runs these big, long, non-deterministic combos that don't end up really affecting the board state, other than having a larger board state than your opponent. But it doesn't mean that you're necessarily going to win. And in a format like Modern or Legacy or anything like that, the game can end whether you have a big board state or not. But Voya builds up that big, huge board state full of like 50-50 elves, and then ends the game with them.
And you're in Naya, great colors for combat, right? Like, I feel like Voya, the thing I liked about Voya as an Elves commander over a lot of other Elves commander is it did counters right. It did combat right.
Yeah.
And I feel like for me, like, Elves really have always been good because of that, like, Azuri line where you just pump your creatures and go to town.
Yeah.
Voya says, hey, you don't have to spend the 5-6 mana Azuri's ability. You just spend the 5 mana on Voya and you get to just do all the things you want to do.
Yeah.
Then you have a couple of the Tolsimirs that make wolves as well, so you can have elves and wolves. Like, it's just such a good package of a commander.
Yeah, I love that card. So I hate playing against it, but I love playing with it.
So next, we'll just dive into the sets. What was your favorite set? I actually missed one of the two, I guess technically two sets that came out this year.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll just go down the line. We started with Ravnica Remastered earlier this year.
Mm-hmm.
We then moved into Murders of Karlov, Markov, Darkov, Manor.
Clue Ravnica Edition.
Yes, Clue Ravnica Edition. Anyways, then we had the Fallout decks. We can conclude
That's
that.
right. Fallout. I forgot that was this year.
Then we had OTJ, which had Big Score in it and breaking news. Then we had Modern Horizons 3, which was a mess in itself. Assassin's Creed, Bloomburrow, Mystery Booster 2. That actually happened.
We can skip over that.
I mean, yes, but anyways. Then Duskmourn, Foundations, and Foundations Jumpstart, I guess, if you want to include that as well, which actually was a ton of fun. So yeah, what was everybody's
The live stream's
favorite?
up on the channel.
It
started very abruptly
Yeah.
because the camera messed up.
Yeah.
I think
Not gonna have that problem anymore.
for the cards themselves, it feels like a terrible thing to say out loud because I'm that person, but like Modern Horizons 3 had a ton in that set.
Yeah.
A lot of really good new stuff. It may not be my favorite set thematically, but I feel like it did bring a lot of good stuff. Thematically, I loved Bloomburrow. Everything about it. I think if you cared about any of the tribes that were represented in Bloomburrow, you probably loved it even more. But what I think Bloomburrow did so well is it took a theme and just hit a grand slam.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, like you look at any card from Bloomburrow and the art is beautiful, but I mean, and it's just great to look at. Like, what your wife wanted the 10 that was sold at Costco? Right?
Walmart.
Walmart,
The
okay.
for the art for Runaway Together.
Yes.
The two animals on the boat together.
Yeah.
It's funny because I think I should like Duskmourn. I'm a huge horror fan. Like, it would make sense. But I think to me, Duskmourn feels like there's going to be cards that are going to be remembered, but a lot of people just aren't going to care about Duskmourn or remember it.
I think that's going to be that, OTJ, and Murders of Karlov Manor. We're going to, all three going to wrap up into that.
Which is sad because Murders of Karlov Manor had probably one of the best new land cycles we've seen in a long time. And that's the only reason that set's going to keep any value at all for a box is because of those. It's the same, like I told you guys when the set came out, it's the same way that Ravnica Legions and Guilds of Ravnica held value for a long time because the Shocklands were them. And so anytime you knew you could potentially get something like that, well, Ravnica Legions also had the fun problem of having Smothering Tide in it, so it ended up having that problem years down the line, even though it wasn't good on release. But to me, I think Bloomburrow just showed that, like, when Magic really tries, they can just knock something out of the park. And I'm happy, I hope they do that again. I hope they continue to kind of approach that. Even if I don't love the theme, I hope they do it. Like, I'm one of those people that, although this will get into the topic later, I'm not sure I'm in love with the whole space set idea for next year, but if they do it well, I'm okay with it.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think it can be done well. I don't know where they're going with it, not specifically like place-wise, but story-wise and how that fits into our wonderful cards.
The Tesseract's in space. I mean, what else do you want? If there's not a Portal reference in that game, I'm going to lose my mind.
True. It's going to be great.
Josh, what was your...
favorite sets.
favorite set?
Almost forgot what I asked.
So I think my favorite set as like a setting and playing and everything like that is the newest one that we went to, or not newest, I guess, but newer one of the new ones. OTJ, I was super excited for that.
Yeah.
I spent like $400 on the set in total. The next one that I was most excited for was probably DMU when that was announced and came out. I was super excited for both of those. DMU did pretty well. OTJ definitely did not. I couldn't tell you the number of bulk rares that I have that are.
Also, it turns out in DMU when you have a $100 mythic that I think is down to only 80 now.
That's true, and I did open like 6 of those.
Okay, don't get your head. Do another thing well. Great common land cycle.
Oh,
right. And a lot of legends that were actually half decent.
But OTJ unfortunately didn't hit that. I think as much as I wanted OTJ to do well, and I still wish that it did. I have a few cards here and there that I liked a lot from it. I think Bloomburrow is probably the best set that Magic has put together in a while.
Oh, yeah.
Especially for a new plane that hasn't been visited. And it reminded me a lot. I as a newer player, obviously didn't play when sets like Lorwyn were coming out. But it reminds me a lot of how Lorwyn was put together really well. And that whole block, that 4-set block, really kind of worked within itself the way that a set should, especially within like a limited environment. It was super cool getting to play both draft and pre-release for that. Draft multiple times. And I think that's probably my favorite set that I've drafted. And I'm super interested in putting together a Bloomburrow cube just to continue drafting that.
I played green-white mounts at that pre-release. There was in that draft. It was a ton of fun.
OTJ.
I think the one thing about OTJ that people are going to forget about that I think in a year the cards are going to spike is that big score set.
Oh yeah,
because I think a lot of those cards are really useful. In fact, I noticed them a lot more in Brawl because that card pool is so much smaller. They get to be used to bigger effect. But like things like that Simulacrum card and like Legion Extruder, I feel like those are the kind of cards that in a year or two are going to get a lot more expensive than they are now. Yeah, and they're not going to be a ton of them out there because people just stopped opening OTJ because it wasn't worth it. Yeah. Which is sad, right? But it happens, right? You get these sets where people don't open a ton of it unless there's that big thing you can go back and get.
Well, after buying two set boxes, or not set boxes really now, play boxes, I'm fingers crossed that something goes up in value because I've got a bunch of everything.
I was going to say, I think OTJ, of course, made you and I both happy because they reprinted Terror of the Peaks, a card that needed to reprint.
I was so close to buying. I almost spent like $80 like the day before Terror of the Peaks was spoiled. I came this close to buying it in the store. And I was like, I'll wait till tomorrow. If it's still here tomorrow, and the shop owner was like, it's been there for 3 months. It's going to be here tomorrow. And I waited, and then they announced it. And he was like, you got really lucky.
I just remember that night we opened up the product. I pulled it out of that box. I'm like, I know I'm not leaving with this. You're going to convince me to turn that to you.
I don't even remember how much stuff I gave you, but I knew it was
it was fair value.
It was like 5 or 6 cards.
We're always
I don't even care what
we've
they
always
are.
been very good at fair value trades.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Mikey, what's your favorite set of the year? Or did you say?
I haven't. So we've been going on in sets. So I'm gonna be the devil's advocate here. I'm gonna give a reason for it. So I liked Mergers or Karlov Manor. Now the reasons is because first off, the idea was fantastic. The execution was terrible. Story terrible. The Clue edition, I love Clue.
Morrow said multiple times that if Murders Call Manor had more Ravnica, it probably would have been a slam dunk.
Yes, 100%. I can totally agree with it. I like I said, loved the idea of it, loved the clue, and I liked the idea of investigators and whatnot. But here's the funny thing: you don't need to put characters in funny hats for a set to sell. Now, granted, I will say Vial Smasher in a cowboy hat still works.
Who would have thought?
I'm loving it, but.
I mean, Marchesa in a cowboy hat looked pretty fine.
So did Olivia.
My favorite part of the Clue edition wasn't that there was actually very good cards in that set. We've talked about your Skyguard there that's in your Nice deck. The card that I talked about as soon as I saw it was going to be good.
So good.
But those new versions of the Shocklands were all gorgeous.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
that's
I
the
was hyped for that breeding pool I opened.
Some of those arts for those Shocklands are my favorite arts for them.
Yep. And that's the thing, right? So like you get brand new arts in a lot of different ways. I liked, so I played through a Clue game, like how they want you to or whatever, by myself, and it was fun. Don't do it by yourself. Invite some people. It might be a little better.
Yeah.
But anyways,
don't play by yourself in front of a mirror.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, cutting that. Anyways.
No, let's be honest. We've never done it. We've done it. That's not.
Anyways, yeah. So I thought it was a really cool idea. I didn't have high expectations for it. especially since they were like, hey, we're going to do Ravnica Remastered, and then we're going to go to Ravnica. And I was like, okay, I guess the cool tie-in, like, awesome. Thanks for the
I
extra.
kind of feel like that was their excuse for not putting more Ravnica in Berserk Manor, but they definitely should have.
They should have. You're in the... I want to say the best.
Yeah.
You're in the most loved... Maybe the most loved plane of all of Magic.
I mean, in Dominaria will always be the most popular because of how much we've been there.
Innistrad, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Innistrad's
they both have had the most sets.
Yeah.
Innistrad's up there, Zendikar's up there.
Yeah.
But it's like, to me with Ravnica, I think the right reason Ravnica is so popular is everybody can find something to like on
Yes.
Ravnica. One of those 10 guilds is probably going to speak to you in some way, and I think they so well incorporate what each 2-color combination wants.
If there could somehow be 12 of those guilds, which I'm sure they'll figure it out somehow, then that would be better than horoscopes. So.
Well, they just need to finally add that 6th color that they've been talking about.
Oh, for sure.
And the 7th one was good.
All right, let's move on to the next one. This one's interesting. You might need to look at something or remember it. We're using your phone. You can use mine. But what was, because we had way too many of them, and then we had some issues with them earlier this month, or last month rather. What was your favorite secret layer that was dropped this year? If you can remember, because I honestly can't remember all of them.
Cats and Dogs was last year, right?
Cats and Dogs was last year, yes. I can't remember all of them, to be honest. But I will say...
I really liked that D&D secret layer. The gold span's gorgeous. I love that reality shit.
I'm just going to say, that's my favorite.
I can't recall what else is in that drop, but like, I thought that was so cool because I can't recall if that was the same drop as the Karlach and the Zenithar ones, or if it was different ones. But that whole D&D kind of 50th anniversary secret layer suite had some really cool stuff. I thought, particularly with Karlach's one, had some great reprints. Dolmen Gate needed a reprint. I had that in there. But to me, just seeing like Goldspan in that pretty frame, Goldspan's a dragon I will always love. It's kind of indicative of its time and standard, but like that secret layer with, I think it was, I'm trying to think, it was Reality Shift, it was...
Here, I got you. It was Ponder.
Ponder, I think. It was a good cross-section of cards with just pretty art, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Other than that, I'm one of those people that weirdly likes those secret layers they do with each set when they take the showcase frame and they make cards in it. It's never the best cards in my opinion. I think I probably could have picked out better ones.
Yeah.
But I think the OTJ one was interesting. If I recall correctly, it had some interesting stuff, and it had grease.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let me look. I'm trying to remember what I've got.
Yes.
Blue towels.
The blue towels?
Yeah. You're in a Tarkir Walmart bag.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry.
No,
There you
you're
go.
fine.
They were
This is
over
what-
there and by the wall.
Over here?
Yeah.
They might still be. This is why we edit.
We can edit out. We're not live.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
Even if we were live, these people can get over it.
They're behind the HelloFresh box.
It's alright, I'll just get over my anger by beating up Zach.
That's fair. You know what? Honestly, I'd say...
Were we super loud?
No,
Yeah.
I literally couldn't hear you, so you're fine.
Fantastic. Well, we were on the phone. We were facing.
If I couldn't hear you, the camera couldn't hear you.
And if the camera did hear you, they deserve to hear you.
3, 2. I'm just kidding. So OTJ, right? That secret layer had Grease Fang. Like I thought that was interesting. It was like a good pick.
Yeah.
There was just
The one
a
in
couple
posters,
really
yes.
interesting picks for choices for that secret layer.
Yeah.
I'll tell you the secret layer I didn't like, the one I'm the least fan of, was the stupid like Instagram-y looking one with the goblins.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about the Comic Sans one.
No, love that one. Top tier.
Miku. Sorry.
But that stupid like Instagram-y looking one, I just thought it was dumb. I
agree.
don't get it. Like, okay, but like I feel like a lot of people have mixed reactions to secret layers anyway. But I feel like that was one of those secret layers that was just like pretty negative online.
I don't get very angry when it comes to secret layers because who cares at this point? I mean, we'll talk about what we're getting next year, and if you don't know now, you'll know. But if I ever see one of those cards at a table, like someone uses one of them as like their commander, I don't remember which one is the legendary, but anyways, I will throw it. I will pay that person for.
I'm gonna say the next thing that I know is gonna be long popular. Like, of the three of us, I'm the one who's consumed the least amount of manga/anime type content. I don't get the Miku thing, it's okay that I don't get the Miku thing. It's not for me. But there are definitely secret layers like that sometimes where I'm like, I don't get this, and that's okay.
I forgot this one came out this year.
Yeah, that did.
I love the serial ones because it goes back to having Ulamog and Galta and Natali. But
Yes.
love seeing Sakashima on a cereal box.
Yeah.
I've talked a lot. What do you guys think about secret layers?
I'll let you go first.
Okay, sweet. So my favorite one is definitely. Oh man, I just went blank because I'm over here like remembering things from this year. But my favorite one is not the Miku one, even though I am playing Miku, and thank you again for the Miku card. Had to make the deck and it was fantastic. Anyway, I do love the Miku card. Goodness.
He says that like he begrudgingly made the deck. Like, I guess I have to make it.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh, why am I blanking? There it is. Okay, so I really like the Extra Life Pixel Perfect one. Not just because of the cards, but I actually looked into it when it was on Arena and found out that what it was actually really about.
Extra Life's a really cool charity.
Yes, and I'm all for charities and whatnot. I think that's awesome that all, or not all of it, I think most of it, if not all of it, went to that charity. The cards are pretty sweet too. You get like Mana Geyser, you get Fierce Guardianship, which is not a good card at all.
That was really where Teferi's Protection God's first like real reprint was the first Extra Life. Yeah.
Yep. And then you get like things like Lightning Bolt and Delayed Fire Blast, and then Solving Equations good too. But
Delayed Fire Blast is actually a big reprint there. Because that card has not seen a ton of reprint.
Well, it's only been reprinted or been printed once. And
I think it was on the list, but that doesn't really count. Like the list is like one of those things where it's like there's people who are watching this video who probably don't even know what the list is. That shows you how much it didn't count. But
yeah, I really love that one, and obviously the Serial one is really cool too, and the Miku one is awesome too. But anyways, yeah, the Extra Life one definitely my favorite.
So charities are cool and all, but Miku though.
Miku,
I think that Miku had like 4 secret layers.
Yeah,
because there were 2 in the original drop, and then there was 2 in a second drop, right?
Yeah,
so they did it multiple ways.
They were part in the summer drop and part in the fall drop.
Yeah, so you had Electric Entourage, which was like all the Planeswalkers skinned as Miku characters, if you may. Then you had we forgot to talk about the favorite Andrew's favorite one.
Asterion. Yeah.
Thank you, Andrew. Anyways, go on. There,
I remember seeing that, and I literally the first card we saw I sent to Andrew. I was like, Andrew, your favorite character for Baldur's Gate 3 getting a secret lair, and he just put a bunch of mad faces.
I do remember that. But I think I really like that a lot. I like the Miku layer, and Andrew immediately sent it and tagged me, and was like, "You know who this is?" And I was like, I don't know why you know that I know who this is, but I do know who this is, so I can't refute that.
I love that we both knew.
Can I make a small comment just about the Asterion one? Can we talk about the fact they printed that combo in that secret lair? They didn't like give us one half and not give us the other. They legitimately gave you both of them.
I think if they did one
and
or the
Anguish
other,
Making. Like, you want to talk about 3 great cards in one secret lair. I'm sorry.
If they did one or the other, the community would have been mad.
I want you to know that I am going to put Soren back together. I'm going to be the House of Markov, the flip one. And because I'm going to cover it for Innistrad Remastered, but I'm going to put those versions of those cards in that deck so that every time I played against Andrew, I can just shove them in his face and say.
Yeah, but I think all of the cards, all of the Miku cards from the multiple super drops that they did, were awesome. I at some point will probably own all of them.
You're gonna make a child of a Lair one.
But I'll make Miku's turn. No, I'm just joking. But I really did like that secretly. I thought it was awesome.
Josh,
but
I do an AI generated character.
Yeah, I do agree with the your distaste towards that Instagram secret layer. As much as I love goblins, and that might be my favorite creature type at the moment.
I don't recall there being any like slam dunk goblins.
No, that's the other thing is if you're gonna do that, put some like bomb goblins.
I know people had mixed feelings about the playing card one. I think that was for OTJ. The one that they were kind of like the face cards.
I liked that one.
But I think there was, I think a Goblin Matron was one of them. So there was at least a half decent like card or two in there.
One of them.
Yeah, they had a couple of good cards in it.
But I will say though, like buttoning up secret lairs, I think there's obviously always going to be a secret lair that I don't get, like these anime ones that I just don't get, and that's okay. Like I think when secret lairs are done right is when they reprint not new cards in the frames that they want to print them in, and they're not the exclusive way to get things. I think as long as we're not going back to the old terrible model of like Walking Dead and and Stranger Things.
Yeah.
I think Secret Lairs are fine no matter what they are.
Okay.
I'm one of those people that as soon as I saw the SpongeBob logo at the Magic Con, I was like, yeah, that checks out. Like, were you not thinking they were going to do it eventually?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. To me, it was like, it's not that big of a deal. I remember someone commented on one of my videos, and I was like, Fortnite didn't kill Magic, SpongeBob's not going to either.
Yep.
Like, it's not that big of a deal at the end
I
of the day.
forgot about the Fortnite Secret Lair.
So that actually kind of leads me to the next thing. So I like that you said that, we're not going to go back to those days of where they just like exclusively print these
Well, I
cards.
hope we not.
So-
They claim they're not going to, but you and I both know the
Right.
Wizards can do what they want.
Yes,
So.
which is interesting because, a lot of people are probably going to sit here and scream at us right now and go, well, what about the Marvel characters? We don't have those yet. We're not going to get them for who knows when, blah, 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 blah. Okay, we understand you. We're here for you, and we're going to listen to you. But listen, we're not going to listen to you rant about the things that we already know that they have said.
They actually have made a public comment on the channel that that you should go buy a proxy of those 5.
Exactly.
Like, at
I
this
agree.
point,
That's exactly what I was about to
My
say.
Have you
biggest-
seen how much the price
my
is?
biggest gripe with current Secret Lairs is that I am really angry that we as a community couldn't suck it up and wait 2 months to get a Secret Lair in so that everybody could get one.
Yeah.
Because I feel like there were people that complained, and that's why they're no longer made to order.
Yeah.
They're all now,
Yep.
we have to get them out as soon as possible,
Yep.
and this is why we have this problem.
Yep.
Yes, it sucked to order some Secret Lairs and wait 2 months to get
Oh,
them,
man, yeah.
Like the post.
but we're big boys
Yeah.
and big girls, we'll survive.
Yeah.
Okay, listen. Like, I paid my $40 for the Arcane series that came out years ago, and I waited 3 months for it. But who cares? I got a freaking heuristic study out of it and some other stuff.
I just think my problem is, like, if we want them to be accessible, you have to give and take with the accessibility.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I remember, like, I released those videos the week the Secret Lair came out, and I knew it was going to be sold out before I released those videos. And people commented and were like, it's too bad I can't get them. And I was like, there are multiple proxy sites I know of that have them up right now.
Yeah.
Go buy them.
We play in a format where you can literally, and by next year we'll be able to play as SpongeBob, Spider-Man, and freaking what is his name? Sephiroth. From Final Fantasy.
Soren?
I was about to say Soren, yeah. But anyway,
Some guy that's not in the Magic verse named Soren.
I just think, to me, it's this is the one thing. Like, yeah, I don't love how much boxes cost these days, and everything's going up, yada yada. Everything in life's going up. Welcome to the world. But the Secret Lairs are the one things that frustrate me because they're the one who caused the problem. This is not an external factor causing the problem. They're the one literally controlling the problem, and they're just not doing anything about it.
Yeah.
And that's okay at the end of the day. It's their choice. They're the company that's making the game, and so it is what it is. But it's just like I think sometimes that's the only thing I find myself really frustrated with, because when I was prepping those Marvel videos to come out that week, I was like, I know these are going to be sold out by the time these videos come out, and I know I'm going to get a comment on every one of the videos that says I can't buy it, or it's all sold out, or the card's $80 or whatever, and I just have to go, oh, okay, like I didn't get one either, so like.
Since we have Josh on the channel, and I know this is going to be a bit of a tangent, I'm going to like probably set a 15-minute timer so we don't go too far into it. But that actually kind of like intrigues me. Like, all three of us are perfectly fine with proxies and whatnot. All three of us are perfectly fine with either printing the card out or buying a little proxy about it. Oh, shut up, Josh.
Josh has never
My
proxied.
printed decks.
Josh has never proxied in his life. Officially stands on the channel.
Yeah. But I was recently playing with a fellow of mine, not fellow, and a person who has been playing since the dawning of Magic and whatnot, and is like stands on his head when he like hears that like I'm perfectly fine with buying a fake copy of a card, and he's like, well, then you could just turn around and sell it on TCG Player and like say that it's the actual card. I'm like, first off, who in their right mind would actually want to do that? I know people who are dumb enough to do that. And he's like, but then those people are gonna buy those, and like, what if you bought a card from TCG Player? And I was like, I wouldn't spend over an X amount of dollars. Like, my limit is, like, if it's over $3, I'm not going to buy it. I'm sorry.
I will tell you, as a TCG Player seller, like, the policies are not super lenient on people who do that.
Exactly.
If you sold a card and it was fake,
Exactly.
you would no longer be a seller. Let me put it that way.
You would no longer be a seller. I'm pretty sure they'd also, like, be like, money please, as Josh would say.
Yeah.
Because on the back end, like, let's say you got a card in the mail and you realized it was fake and you put in a report. They haven't got their money yet. Like, not to get too far to the weeds on the TCG Player seller side of things, but, like, it's very serious. Like, it's not something where, like, you can just scam people. Like, it's going to catch up with you. Exactly. At least that's the one good thing about the internet, is eventually it'll catch up to you. You can't just, like...
The other thing to think about is when you have people that are printing out, counterfeiting cards like this, they're going to be counterfeiting cards that are of such a high value that you're going to be wanting to be selling the thing for over $10 at a minimum, right?
Yeah.
Probably like between 20 and 50 for the most part. And the only people who are going to pay that much for a card are going to be the people who are fully enthralled in the game and will probably be able to spot a counterfeit.
I will
because there's going to be differences in the feel or the sheen of the card.
I have purchased proxies that are meant to look like real cards. I've never represented them in anything other than such. But there is a difference. A lot of times it's either thickness or a lot of places won't actually be able to put that silver stamp that's on the bottom of the card for your rares. Or you can just tell. Like a lot of times you think the font's on, but it's off, or the margins are just off, or the cut's off on the card, and you can tell. Like I've gotten very few in my time purchasing those that I looked at and went, I think I could legitimately pass this off as a real card.
Yeah.
Now the problem, right, in all this conversation is we're people who play the game a lot and we know what these cards look like. I know the opposite side of that is what about the people who don't know that? And that's fair.
Right.
But there's counterfeiting in everything in life. This isn't just the only thing that has counterfeiting that exists.
And I will say, that guy was perfectly fine with me having like my printed cards because he was like, at least I know those are fake and you can upfront say, hey, these are fake. Yeah. And he goes, if you, and I showed him my UUB Set Hunger that I have, and I was like, it's fake. And he goes, let me see. And I gave it to him, and I was like, would you know? And he goes, no. And I was like, exactly. And I was like, I'm going to upfront say that, though, because I'm not a complete douchebag. So. Yeah. All right, well, we're done with that. On to...
It was only 2 minutes.
Good. Who's ready for 2025?
Did you want to address the like that?
What, the 2025?
No, you seemed like you wanted to stop him before we got into the glorious year of 2025.
Oh, I just want to say really fast.
Yes.
I said I was going to buy one of the rainbow foil copies of the full Iron Man Secret Lair if they came down below like $50, and you could find the full Secret Lair online for like $25. Wow. I'm pretty sure I'm going to buy it now.
With Iron Man?
Yeah.
I actually like that.
Yeah, that's I've been wanting to build an artifact deck. I mean, I have my Teamer artifacts deck.
I think it's because that Secret Lair doesn't have any like massive cards in it. Like there's no like game stopper cards like where Black Panther has a heroic intervention and a secure the waste in it. Or,
I think my thought behind it was just
or Cat has one of swords.
Artifact birthing pod.
Yeah.
I was like, this sounds cool. I'm gonna do it. So just look out for that. That'll come at some point. Maybe to gameplay on the channel. Not sure, but
we'll see. Well, who's ready for 2025?
Yeah.
I guess I am too.
I'm very ready.
Let's see.
I would love new content to brew around, the whole thing that I do on the channel. So.
Let's see. Personally, in our lives, we will. I will turn 29. My child will turn 2.
Same.
I don't know.
I celebrate 10 years of marriage next year.
Hey, there you go.
Okay, yeah.
There you go. Okay.
Cool.
I'm trying to think.
If my child turns 2 as well. Yeah. So look at that. That's crazy.
Yours turns 2 as well.
Yeah. It's almost like there's plan. No, I'm just kidding.
They're all gonna go to the same school and be friends. No, I'm just kidding.
My wife we were in the car yesterday, and I'll block out the names here, but she was mentioning that Andrew's daughter is going to be in the same grade as your kiddo, and that just blew my mind because I think that, like she said, the age gap is so big at that age compared to when you get to be 4 or 5.
Or that
6 months looks like a lot when they're under the age of 2, but then when they get to be 10, you can barely notice the difference.
True,
and it was just a little mind F. I was like, holy crap! Like I couldn't process that in the car.
Well, since we hate ourselves, let's talk about Magic. And so next year we're gonna get.
Okay, I want to start to list this off from memory, and you can tell me if I'm right.
Oh yeah, go for it.
So we got Innistrad Mastered. It's not a standard set, but it is coming, and obviously very big deal because everybody's favorite Vampire Daddy is getting reprint.
Vampire Nighthawk? No, I'm just joking.
Yeah, that was in Foundation. It will be in the set.
Probably. Yeah, most likely. That makes sense.
And then you have Aetherdrift.
Yep.
And then you have Final Fantasy. I don't think there's any other premiere sets coming out in between there. I think Innistrad Mastered is the one we've been told about.
Final Fantasy would be
actually Final Fantasy is after something else.
What is it after?
It's after our favorite plane.
Oh, Tarkir. That's right. I'm sorry. I thought it was after Tarkir. That's right. Tarkir, and then Final Fantasy, and then our space set,
Edge of Eternity,
and then the unannounced Universes Beyond set.
Well, so according to Magic, as of October 25th, 2024, Yes, you were basically right. It is Aetherdrift, Tarkir, Final Fantasy, then Age of Eternities, and Spider-Man.
Spider-Man! I forgot about Spider-Man.
Then the unannounced, what is that? Universes Beyond. I almost said Unlimited Beyond, and I was like, that's not right. So yeah, we also have a few of the things that we've been teased and or sought after and whatnot. What's funny is on this calendar that Interstride Remaster is not on this calendar.
I think it was just standard sets they were showing.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Because we're going up to 6 standard sets now a year, 3 universes beyond 3. Now, they didn't say that that's every year going on now.
Yeah.
Well, we can just assume that that's probably going to be every year now because they have opened up the can of worms, and I think they're going to stay in the worms for a while.
Today, whatever the date is, 2025 will...
December 10th.
I think 2025 will only have 2 universes beyond sets. Because I think they're going to course correct. I think they're going to see the vitriol that's coming with them having 3.
You think they're going to cut that out?
Maybe.
I could see them doing another, like, Commander Universes Beyond thing, even though they said that all of them are... But, like, I feel like Wizards isn't completely dense. They're going to learn from something. And I feel like a lot of people are going to complain that there's 3 Universes Beyond set and that we're not getting all those.
I mean,
go ahead.
To be fair, the Universes Beyond sets that they've had to this point have sold insanely well.
Yeah, I know.
And
Which
so,
is sad.
Unless they get to the beginning of the year and the first one, Final Fantasy,
which is in June.
It's going to sell well. Spider-Man's going to sell well.
Yeah,
we can take whatever shot at guessing what we think the third one is. It's going to sell well probably too.
I'll tell you right now, I have no clue.
I'll tell you what property I really want it to be.
Smurfs.
I really want it to be like something like The Witcher. I think it'd be such a cool idea.
That'd be cool.
I could also honestly it being something like Skyrim or something like Elder Scrolls.
I was gonna say I would love another like
a high
fantastical, another fantastical.
Because I feel like, to me, it fits Magic so well. But that's what Magic is. That's why I think The Witcher would fit so well, is because it's similar, but it's just enough different. But I could see something like Elder Scrolls being a big deal. One, they already have a relationship with Bethesda because of Fallout. But number 2, I think Elder Scrolls 6 is somewhere along the lines coming soon.
I think it's supposed to
So
be like next year,
it could be something where it could be.
I'm still keeping my fingers crossed for my favorite Bethesda franchise to get some kind of Magic crossover.
Just kidding. No.
No, that's a good one.
That's a good one.
I'm thinking Doom, dude. I want at some point
Doom would be
even if it's just a secret.
I was gonna say,
Doom
I think something like Dishonored would be like Magic, more Magic themes,
cool.
probably. I love Wolfenstein. I love joking about Wolfenstein because it's just like, so 2025 I think is going to be really interesting.
Yeah.
We have a set that's been pretty much prescribed as vehicles heavy, right? Morrow on his podcast, I don't know if y'all listen to his podcast, but he said, the whole theme of War of the Spark was planeswalkers, right? They tried to shove as many planeswalkers in as they could. Right?
Did they do that?
The whole thing with March of the Machine was trying to fit as many planes into one set as possible. And doing both of those sets, they asked the question, can we make a set truly just about X, right? Can we make it just about planeswalkers or just about that?
Turns out they can.
Yeah.
I think Aetherdrift is going to have a lot more vehicles than we think it will. And I think it's going to be a very odd, limited environment because they either need to figure out a way to let you functionally have more vehicles crewed at once than you think you will, or, like we joked about in the chat this week, they're going to find some way to animate vehicles easier.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of scares me, not because I think that vehicles are broken. I think vehicles are a really interesting mechanic.
Yeah.
But I'm just worried that Wizards is going to do what Wizards does best, which is they're going to print like 3 or 4 really good vehicles that are just going to push vehicles forward.
Which I'm probably fine with. Like when we went to Kamigawa the last time we had the precon that was made for vehicles, I think it was fine. I mean, Shurikai isn't really like vehicle heavy. Shurikai is a weird thing. We're not going to talk about it. Kotori, on the other hand, I think is a great commander for vehicles. The simple blue-white. You give all your vehicles crew 1, I believe, and or something like that. I don't really remember the exact thing. But anyways, I think that's great that they are doing it again in a different way. And I think what you said is very true, is they're going to have to figure out a way to animate more than one vehicle in a lot of different ways, or somehow continue to lower
or it's going to be a token set. Like, I just don't think I can't think of any other way you can functionally crew a couple vehicles per turn without finding some way to slam power.
You need a bunch of vehicles like Essica's Chariot or something.
Or things like, I don't recall which one, I think it's It's either Mobilizer mech or Mind Linker mech. The one that's like when you crew it, you crew another vehicle.
I think
Yes.
it's Mind Linker, yeah.
So it's like you need things like that where you can have these chains of crews that go off at the same time.
So to kind of not quote, but to go off of the idea of one, I don't remember her last name, but Olivia from Commander.
Go Bear Hicks.
Huh?
Go Bear Hicks.
Sure.
That's her last name.
Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Fantastic. I learn something new every day. But anyways, she plays the Omen Kill or Omen
Yep.
Kill. That's like her favorite deck because she can literally like put a boat on top of a car and then like drive the car with a boat. And I'm like, that's actually very
my
true.
favorite vehicles deck of all time is that people play Galta vehicles. Have you seen this?
Yes.
I think it's the best thing in the world.
But you're also a mono green lover, and I think you're weird, but that's okay.
I would never play Galta vehicles, but I think it's the
I
greatest
think
thing.
you should. Yeah.
I think I'm the weird purist who
Galta,
thinks that vehicles
that's
should be an
good.
Esper, only because I think there's so many great artifact payoffs in Esper. But
Oh, I'm sorry.
that's just me.
Mr. plays a Layla. Ooh.
Urza would be great.
Urza would be great.
What's her name? The Sidri one
yeah.
that can like turn artifacts into
yeah.
creatures.
Yeah.
It's just to me that's the space for it, but that's just
So,
one crazy man rambling.
How many of those decks do you think are going to be primarily focused? The commander decks are going to be primarily focused around vehicles. Do you think all of them?
I think
Two
all of
max.
them. I think all of them.
No, I think they're going to do something because remember, so we're going to Kaladesh, we're going to Amonkhet, and we're going to Muruganda, which is the rumored third place that we're coming.
Which is the new place.
My gut tells me that at least one of those decks has nothing to do with vehicles.
I only think that all of them will have it because of what the main chase card is, which is that Planeswalker / Legendary.
Well, let's think about Commander decks in the past.
Yeah.
Let's think about Commander decks in the past. Not both Dustborn's precons don't all care about enchantments. It was an enchantment heavy set.
It was an enchantment.
So I'm saying you have to look at the passive of precons. They're not all going to care about vehicles. I think you'll get at least two.
Yeah.
I think you're going to get one. And I'm going to go on a limb and say they're probably both going to be 3 colors. I would imagine it'd be hard to do them. I think you could do them.
I think all 3 of them will be in 3 colors.
So,
all 4 of them will be in 3
the
colors.
question becomes what other mechanics are going to be in the set that they cared about, and how do you make that into another precon? I think you could also see something like maybe they wanted a character to be in the set, but they couldn't get a card. They're going to make it the face of that deck, and then it's going to
Planeswalker Nissa.
Yeah.
Wait. Moving on.
But I think it's a good point though, because I think it's going to be interesting. I don't think that they're all 4 going to be vehicle decks.
Okay.
Mostly because I think the only thing that would stop them from doing that is it would kind of, I don't know, it might ruin the reprint equity of having 2 decks that are trying to pull from the same pool. They really like to have those ways to reprint.
I'm not
things.
saying that it is going to happen, but I think it would be.
But I think the question will be what colors is that vehicle deck going to be is the better question.
Naya and Esper.
I think Esper is one of them. I don't think Naya is one of them.
Really?
Only because I think blue in vehicles and artifacts.
You know what harebrained
so
thing
good.
I think Mardu could have a hot chance.
Oh yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
There are a couple red vehicles that make treasures when they hit that do things like the Horde Hauler from Streets in Capenna. You had the RMS Titanic from Doctor Who. I just think red could care about vehicles because it cares about treasure, it cares about artifacts, and you could make that a thing.
Is it like artifacts? So I could see Jeskai as well.
Jeskai would be an option. Yeah.
So I'm gonna actually, now that you said Mardu, and literally that reminded me of where we're going next. So not to tangent into it, but I'm going to not to segue into it.
If
but I'm going to
Tarkir
say-
doesn't have 5 commander decks with the original, original
that's-
wedges, I'm gonna be sad.
That's what I was actually about to say. I don't. Now that I think about it, I don't think we'll have 3 color precons in Aetherdrift because we're going to.
It won't
Tarkir.
matter. Back-to-back sets, they'd have the same
That's
colors
true.
of precons.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going
That's
to
true.
matter. And I think the way that they design them, it's all based on the set anyway.
Yeah.
I don't think they care.
Yeah, I don't think they do care anymore. I feel like they used to care because they wanted that ever.
And even if they do 3-color ones
That'd
in Aetherdrift, they're not going to do them for the space set.
Yeah.
I'm sure for the latter half of the year, they're going to... It seems like for those Universes Beyond sets, they really like to sit towards 2 colors, so I imagine they'll have more of those and those. I mean, the real question, I think, that would be fun to talk about, it's a bad thing with me because I'm just not up on Final Fantasy, is who are the commanders for the Final Fantasy decks and what colors are they in?
JusticeforRal, that's all I know.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
my Final Fantasy knowledge is up to and exactly Kingdom Hearts. If it's been in Kingdom Hearts, I know what it is.
I was about to say mine is Kingdom Hearts and Smash Bros.
And I
That's it.
played Final Fantasy 15, I think was the one,
Okay.
one of the newer ones, right? It had the whole ramen tie-in.
Yep.
That was the whole joke.
I played 10.
I remember I beat that one, but that's all the Final Fantasy knowledge I have. I've watched people play through the remake of 7, and I know the characters that are in 7, but I'm not a pro by any means
Mhm.
at
Same.
Final Fantasy, so I won't speak into that at all. What I inevitably expect to happen is I'm gonna brew some deck for Final Fantasy that's gonna have like two characters that hate each other, and somebody's gonna make a lore comment and be like, yeah, but they work together. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like,
Well, so then let's jump over Tarkir. We'll move into Final Fantasy then. We'll continue and kind of like brainstorm that. Like I think Cloud.
no, we need to go back to Tarkir.
Well, hang on.
No.
We will.
You can't skip his
We
dragons.
will. No, excuse me. It's my set too. I love it just as much as not more. No, I'm just kidding. So I think obviously, yeah, the big ones would be like Sephiroth and Cloud. I don't know if they'll be like the leaders of commander decks, but I don't know. I
Hear me
think
out.
you have the most knowledge. I'd love to
Hear me out. Harebrained idea.
Go for it, please.
Harebrained idea. Like the whole thing of Final Fantasy is having a party, right?
Yeah.
That's like the whole thing. Do we see party come back
I
to
hope
any
so.
means at all? Or do they bring team ups back for these like Final Fantasy
Yeah.
cards? Could it be like I doubt that Cloud and Sephiroth could be a pair, but they could be in the sense that they're kind of villains, right? It could be like a villain team up thing. And right, seems like every game has a main character and a main villain that kind of have some sort of. I doubt that's the case, but it could be. You never know. I mean, people may like the idea of having a piece of art that has both of them engaged in battle.
that would
or
be
doing-
dope. Yeah.
I think team ups would be a better idea. I don't know if Magic has like thought about that, or maybe they did and they decided that Wizards decided it wasn't a good idea or whatever. Personally,
do
I
that
would
more.
prefer that over the former, but I don't know. It's hard. I feel like it would make the most sense, kind of like in Lord of the Rings. How many copies or how many versions of Frodo did we get? And one of them
I
was
think
the
4 of Frodo. There's like 4 Gandalf.
Well, here's the question.
6
Could you see
Aragorns.
Final Fantasy making another pseudo partner mechanic where you get to take a Final Fantasy character and pair it with a support character, and that's your
something
commander
like
combination?
partners or backgrounds or whatever.
Right,
but
like
specific.
instead of maybe maybe it's something where all the main characters of the games have this ability, and then all the support characters have the abilities, and so you can kind of like pick and choose your main character with your support character. Or,
I think Party would be cool. I don't know that they would go that deep into a Universes Beyond set to create a mechanics like that. I could see them reusing or attempting to
I could see
reusing
them
something
doing
like
I mean, they did it with
background.
Doctor Who, so.
They did it with
Yeah,
Doctor
I guess
Who.
that's
They
true.
did it for Baldur's Gate, which was their own thing. It's technically,
Well, yeah.
I know we're not going to talk about it. It's technically Universes Beyond theme, and they didn't call it it.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's like, to me, I could see them doing it, and I could see them doing more of that in the future to make these Universes Beyond sets their own thing.
Mhm.
Like Lord of the Rings had the ring, and it had these things. I could see them doing that in each of these sets to make them feel unique, so that it's
maybe.
not just like, lol, Cloud's on a magic card, and he has this random ability. Like
Yeah.
I could see them trying to flavor it some
Yeah.
way. Because
Yeah,
if you
I
extrapolate
guess.
into the future, right? What do you do for the next year's sets that are their own? Don't you want to try to bring that flavor in somehow? I mean, I don't know what that looks like.
I think with Baldur's Gate though, the whole set was built around commanders.
Yes.
You had so many cards that could choose a background or be a background, and without gearing the entire set towards commander, which a lot of people have become very adverse to, they'd have a harder time doing something like that. So unless it's something that's specific to the commander decks itself, which I could kind of see, but I
Which
don't
is
know.
hilarious because
It's hard to
AFR
know.
did it, it failed in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
It-
yeah.
But Baldur's Gate was spun towards Commander, and I think it succeeded a lot more because it did. But I don't know. I'm very intrigued to see Final Fantasy, not as a fan, but as someone who loves Magic. I'm very intrigued to see that and what they look like, how they choose what. If they get Commander decks, who gets the Commander decks? Who do they pick? Why do they pick them? Because like I said, my knowledge of Final Fantasy is so small. I'm gonna have to look up these characters as soon as they announce them.
Yeah.
What is this character? What's their
Yeah.
game? Why are they here?
And I've played through a bunch of the Final Fantasy games, and I'm excited for it because I have played them, but not because I'm some kind of Final Fantasy super fan or anything. I think if they did like a Legend of Zelda set, I would probably bawl my eyes out with excitement. But I think like it's super cool because you can see Final Fantasy being an RPG game that's developed by a Japanese company like that means that there's a likelihood that they're going to start working with other companies that are in that space, like potentially
You get
Nintendo or whatever.
you get your foot in the door, right?
Yeah. Something like that, or Kingdom Hearts or whatever.
I think what's really important about Final Fantasy is just like what that series means to the genre of games that it helped make popular in the US at least, right? I'm not saying that Final Fantasy is the most popular RPG of all time. There's so many of them in Japan that we just don't get over here and nobody knows about. I know that's a whole genre over there that it's not over here.
Oh,
right?
but Final Fantasy is
Retro-
at the top of that.
Retro game players love going and finding those old RPGs and old systems because they never got full releases
Right,
here.
yeah.
I know that's a whole community I'm not a part of and I don't understand. But I think it's interesting for them to dip their toes in that because it
Right.
means they could dip their toes into other things. Elder Scrolls. Is there a world where you see something like Dark Souls get a game since it's been so popular, Bloodborne and Elden Ring with it as well? Do you get something like The Witcher? Do you get something like these other universes that have something to do with it but are video game universes and not just real? I think it's interesting.
I think with
awesome.
Final Fantasy being at the top or like the peak, it's always been, or I shouldn't say always, but for a long time has been considered the pinnacle of like that style of gaming, that RPG style of gaming. In multiple other countries, including the U.S. I think with them getting the top dog there's a lot of other trickle-down games that could potentially be considered here, like you were saying, Skyrim or The Witcher, or like I'm really hoping for at some point maybe like a Nintendo with Link, even if it's a secret lair. That's another one that like, something like that.
I would say it's a when, not if. I doubt that it'll net. I don't know if it'll be a set, but I could see it being a secret lair for sure.
Yeah.
Now going back to the set that obviously none of us are excited about in Tarkir, I think Tarkir's going to be the interesting set to me of next year. Even though we don't know what that last set is, and this could be like a bad take when we find out that it's like My Little Pony or something. But
Not again.
TMNT?
We don't need that in our lives. We already had enough My Little Pony and Magic. But anyway,
but they weren't legal. We need legal copies.
Tarkir is going to be really interesting because this is a plane that had 3 sets that were unique in their stories but all blended together. And so my question is, how much do the dragons going to play a role and how much are the humans going to play a role?
Man, well, they're not all human. They're called clans. But anyways,
Well, no,
there was orcs and goblins. And
but I mean,
Nagas.
there are multiple humanoid tribes.
Yes, I know what you mean. Anyways.
On Tarkir, but I'm very intrigued to see what that split looks like. Now, we know from the images so far that we've seen characters, like we saw Lesha in Foundation, so we know that there's those things. What I'm really hoping is they don't stray away from bringing the original wedges back.
Yeah.
Because I could see a world where they stray away from it and try to bring all of them back down into the 2 colors, and I'm like, people love Tarkir because of those 3 colors, the clans. And so I really want them to push back towards it and really like make something interesting out of it.
I agree.
Yeah, I love me some Abzan, and I'm really hoping that it, as well as the others that were really founded or like set up within that plane, get to shine again within that set. I feel like if they put together this whole thing and they refer to the clans and then don't like capitalize on that at all, I feel like it's a really big missed opportunity. If it's just a buttload of dragons and then you have like an Abzan Falconer thrown in here and there, I'm gonna be pissed.
The one thing I would love to see, and I think it's a reasonable possibility, but I could see why they also wouldn't. I would love to see the Dragon Lords in 3 colors. I'd love to see them push into the 3rd color and really flesh out that space.
Like
as kind of a weird best of both worlds. Like maybe there's a way that those 2 timelines smash together and Atarka gets that 3rd color, Silgar gets that 3rd color.
That would be wild.
Because I think it would be really cool to see some of those dragons get the 3rd color. Not only to make commanders for dragon decks that want that 3rd color for their decks.
Right.
There aren't really a ton of good ones outside of a few ones, right? But I think it'd be really interesting for them to push that space.
Yeah.
For me, I want 2 things. One, I want this story to be incredible because I connected with the story so heavily in the last time we were at Tarkir. I mean, yes, that was one of my first times playing Magic, so I'm really I'm already invested in the stories in general. So I really wanted to know what was going on in this plane and this world and everything. So I dove headfirst into it and researched as much as I could, and then got confused at the ending of it, like everybody else did. But anyways, I'm really, really hoping for some good story. I'm really hoping for that same thing where they push the boundaries of utilizing the 3 colors. Because if we think back, you and I personally, Zach, we played during this time. So Josh, unfortunately, you have no clue.
No.
You actually are spoiled in the fact that you can choose a plethora of legendaries for your commander deck. Zach and I, we were playing, our choices from just Tarkir were the 5 main from the first set, which was Khans, you had the 5 clan leaders. Then in the second set, you had 5 more, which became the new clan leaders and the first iterations of the dragons.
Yeah.
Then in the second set, you had the dead clan leaders, basically, and the second iterations of the dragons, or the dragon lords. So we only had about, what was that, 5, 10, 20, 25 to choose from in a giant, huge set. Now that's like normal because now we have like 25 commanders from just one set.
Yeah.
Whereas like with that, we're like trying to figure out, okay, well, this guy only does X. And now we have things that do X, Y, and Z, which is ridiculous.
The other reason I want the clan lords, some sort of clan lord 3 color back, is there are a couple archetypes in those 3 colors that were defined by Tarkir. Prowess is something that's pretty Jeskai, right? Counters is something that's very absent.
Yes.
I think
That
Stompy
graveyard
is
stuff.
Stompy is something that's very teamer. It's just done in a few different ways.
Teamer needs
Of
to
course,
find its
Sultai
identity.
is the graveyard combination. It's really the colors for that.
It's what?
And then
It's NIDS.
and then Mardu is that mid range aggro.
Yes.
So it's like we've seen all 5 of those archetypes get fleshed out so much over time. I'd love to see what a new signpost Mardu commander looks like.
Yeah.
What is a new Tarkir?
I don't want Ishin 2.0.
I mean, it doesn't have to be a
Sure,
2.0.
2.0.
I think
Get out
there's
of here.
I think there's still room to play around in all of those colors. But I think it'd be really cool to see what they come up with. Now let's have some fun so we can come back and look at this.
Go for it.
What colors is Sarkin in this set?
Is Sarkin?
Yes.
Well, he was teamer with the last time we saw him here, which I thought was really, really cool. I think they could keep him teamer, and that'd be fine.
So we've already seen the border for his card, which is gold. So we know he's 2 colors, at least 2 colors.
Yeah.
So the question is, what 2 colors is he?
Well, interesting enough.
Or 3 colors, or 4 colors, or 5 colors.
I've noticed that the gold cards have become 3 or more colors, and you dual
started
colors
splitting.
has splitting. Yes. So
I think he would be 3.
I think
he
he
stays
could go back
teamer.
with teamer.
I have 2 guesses.
Oh, he could be 5 colors.
Straight 5 color. Because I think it would be interesting to have a 5 color Sarkin be your commander.
Yeah.
Or I could see him not being teamer and adding, because he was a villain in some senses in part of the story.
Yes.
Does he go towards black? Does he have some sort of black 3 color
What
combination?
Ooh, story time. What if, because I love the man so much, what if Nico has possessed Sarkin and he is the
we're
only card that is in Grixis in that entire set?
That would be. I actually was thinking Grixis because I think Sarkin very red, right?
Yeah.
I could see him being either Jund or Grixis. I could see Jund because the green still makes so much sense with dragons, and then I just think a dragon commander that isn't Corval would be great. Like, you know what I mean? Like, or Zeator or something like that. But it would just be very fun to see him even in Jund, keeping that traditional kind of red-green dragon colors, but adding that black. I think that there is a chance that Sarkin might be in some sort of villain role in the set, even though he's going back to his home plane.
Yeah.
But we don't know that for sure.
I think that would be so cool. And then we're going to space after that, which means we can go to the moon or something.
No, I think Tezzeret being there makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
Tezzeret's kind of that last wild card that no one knows about.
Yeah.
He managed to get away from Phyrexia somehow.
He managed to get away from Kaito, or Kaito, however you want to pronounce it, which is incredible because that guy's a ninja and Tezzeret's just a man.
It's not one the more you learn about Tezzeret. Tezzeret just seems to be very good at enough things to keep himself alive.
Yeah.
You know what I
He
mean?
somehow escaped Chandra from getting
He
his head
escaped
blown.
Bolus. He escaped the Phyrexians. He escaped. Yeah, he's managed to keep himself as a wild card. It's kind of funny. To me, I always look, it may not be a connection a lot of people make, but I kind of look at Kai and Tezzeret as opposites. They both have that skill set. They're just opposite sides of that good-bad scale. Kai's the good version of it, where she's a little shifty, but she does it for a reason. Yeah. Whereas Tezzeret's the opposite side of it. He's shifty, but he does it for
himself.
It's interesting to me.
That's so cool. What are we thinking about for space? Are we thinking more vehicles? That's what I was thinking. I was thinking ships.
I think it'll be that. It'll take a lot from that. You have to remind me what the name is of that D&D stuff that's all about space.
Spelljammer.
I think it'll have some of that vibe to it.
Yeah.
And it'll be that. I have a lot of worries about the set, not because I don't think it'll be a good set, just functionally, what did they do that's not just Unfinity, or what did they do that's not just spaceships? I'm a little worried, but it's not worried in the sense that I'm still gonna brew the decks, guys. We're still gonna have fun. It's not like I'm gonna stop making. I'm very intrigued how they're gonna do it in a magic way. Infinity's different because it was a meme.
Right.
Yeah.
40K is different because it was a property that they were playing with. I think spaceships is going to be a little weird for Magic to a lot of people, but I'm still very intrigued.
Well, that's probably the same thing when they thought about Kaladesh and everything, and they were like, we're going to put cars in Magic, and everyone was like, what the heck do they mean?
Yeah, but Kaladesh still looked Magic.
Well, right.
Yeah.
I think they're going to probably do the same thing here.
They didn't punt it literally into outer space. They at least made it look like this world where they're crafting these things, and the cars look like Kaladesh. It's not like the cars are cars; they look like Kaladesh.
Why
the ships look like Kaladesh.
In that set? But anyways, no, I look at like a set like Dustmorn, and I think a lot of people liked it because the horror and whatnot, but also I think it I don't know. To me, it doesn't look like Magic until you go through the doors and the rooms and whatnot. And that looks like Magic.
My question about Aetherdrift: do we see the one living Uncut god in the set?
Wait, I thought there were two. No, Bantu died.
To my knowledge, Hazaret's the only living
Hazaret's
Uncut
alive.
god.
Oh, that's right. Hazaret was in March of the Machine. Yeah, why not?
Because if we're going to go to Uncut, they need something to... Is Samut back again? I don't know. But I'm intrigued with that set because if we truly are going to Murragana, we've never actually been to Murragana. So it's going to be interesting to see how they represent on the cards.
It's going to be bug people, I think, or something like that.
But
not again.
the only thing I'm a little worried about with Aetherdrift is that the vehicles are going to take over any lore that really comes from the set.
Yeah.
I'm also a little worried that they're claiming that Chandra and Nissa are going to be like good again. Like they weren't the ones that caused the problem in the first place.
Yeah, it's like, can we bring back Jason Vraska too? Like, where did they go? And Dustmorn, it's fine. I don't even know.
What about my boy Dak Faden?
Dak's dead.
Yeah, he's big dead.
Well, I think
Gideon.
To me, I'm gonna say this with all of the love in my heart, minus the one card. Like, I'm ready to be done with Kaito for a little bit.
Same.
He's not my favorite. No. Sorry, not Kaito. I apologize. I like Kaito. Kellan. I'm ready to be done with Kellan.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
I'm tired of Kellan. Like, the first card was cool. I think his red-white card is a banger in equipment deck.
I think his
I love Kaito. Kaito's the best thing that's happened to Ninjas in a while, and I love it.
I was surprised.
I'm Kellan. I'm sorry. I'm done with Kellan. We don't need more Kellans. Like, I'm really tired of it.
His story, fantastic until when he went to Ravnica, and then they screwed up all of Ravnica. Yeah. So that's a different story.
Who didn't want to see Daddy Oko back?
But again, I like that they were like, "Oh yes, Oko. Here we go. We're gonna come back to Oko. He's gonna play a big part." And then he doesn't play a big part. And now Kellan is not even the main story anymore. Where is this freaking story going?
Yeah.
Here's the burning question I want to know: does Rao kill Jace? Is there a question?
That dang wizard! Oh my gosh! If they write in the story one more time, and then Rao said.
I really hope that it's a meme where Rao's like chasing Jace on all the plates. It's like, I almost got you this time.
Yes, it's like, oh my gosh, who cares?
It wasn't for those meddling kids.
It's like, Rao, go home to whatever his name is.
Go home to Tombe.
Yes.
Yeah. Take some time for yourself.
Yeah, just stop chasing Jace. Yeah. Jace has got his own problems. He's literally...
Okay, so let's take our legitimate guesses. What do you think that third set is next year?
That last...
now,
unfitted...
I think the information that might help us is... right, doesn't the Spider-Man set next year kind of coincide with the new Spider-Verse movie or something like that, if I recall correctly? Isn't it kind of coming out at the same time?
Yes, they're both coming out next year, yes.
So are there any big AAA titles coming out next fall that I don't know about that could kind of make sense for this set?
I don't know.
I know we don't have a date for Elder Scrolls 6. That's where I thought maybe it'd be that, because it's kind of coming out soon, and it's a thing that people really care about.
They would have announced it by now if it was coming out next year.
The
only thing I can think of that's coming out next year...
Well, wait, the Game Awards hasn't happened yet, has it?
No, not yet.
Isn't that like a big thing sometimes where people announce stuff at the Game Awards?
It can be. Typically, it's at like IGN or something like that.
Oh, good.
They may make some kind of announcement.
I know that as far as game releases, it wouldn't be The Witcher, because I know they just started working on 4 and they're a long way out.
The only thing I can think of that I know is coming out next year.
Video game wise or movie wise?
Yeah, video game wise that could potentially fit is next year they're releasing Metroid.
Oh yeah.
But Metroid's coming out at the beginning of the year. And then they're also I think the new Doom is supposed to come out next year, which is supposed to be like medieval time Doom. I don't know if everyone is familiar with Doom lore, but this is when Doom guy is in the alternate universe fighting for that that basically like it's set in Lord of the Rings style.
So let's take a quick trip down memory lane just so we can kind of see the stats. We've had 40K, a tabletop IP. We've had Doctor Who, a TV show IP.
Yep.
We've had Assassin's Creed, a video game. We have Fallout, a video game. And we're seeing Final Fantasy, a video game. And then we're seeing Marvel, a comic / movie / other things, IP. So my wonder is I mean, I guess it's wrong of me to assume that it's going to be a video game. It could be a lot of things.
Yeah, it could be anything, but I think where they've seen the most success, outside of Lord of the Rings, obviously, is...
Lord of the Rings, being a book / movie IP.
The entire thing.
Outside of that, the biggest success that they've seen has been video games, and I think that right now the most hype that they have for things coming up next year from people outside of like the enthralled Magic players is Final Fantasy.
I think Spider-Man will do a lot. You can't forget that Spider-Man did have very popular video games as well, right? And I think a lot of people of our generation are interested in Spider-Man. I wouldn't have guessed it was the first Marvel set they were going to make, but it makes a ton of sense because Spider-Man just has a lot in his universe that
he does.
My wonder though is like, okay, so if we think it's a video game, again, my gut just says something like Elder Scrolls, something that fits the high fantasy aesthetic, but is still very popular. So I feel like everyone and their mom has played Skyrim at this point, or played Oblivion, or played.
It's on Switch. You can go play it on Switch.
I've actually never played any of the
or played Marvel
games.
I've
never played.
I got an embarrassing amount of hours into Skyrim and never finished it. So that's not the point.
So
the point
I think a high fantasy style setting would make a lot of sense. But
I just wish they would do something like The Witcher instead, because I think it has that monsters aesthetic that I feel like is very Magic.
Yeah.
You know.
But if you look at the other sets, the other universes beyond sets that they've had that have done insanely well, again outside of Lord of the Rings, they aren't those high fantasy style settings. The Warhammer decks are some of the highest grossing Commander decks that they've ever sold,
and that's literally anti-Magic if you think about it.
And Fallout did amazingly well. It's all video games,
which is surprising.
Post-apocalyptic Vegas area, but like when you look back at those aren't Magic really.
My gut would love Far Cry to exist as a universe event setting, but they won't do the guns, so there's literally no way to do Far Cry. You know what I mean?
I think you're right on the high fantasy. I'm thinking another direction that they could be going is, I don't know if they, well, I guess they already have it made if they're trying to, I don't really know. Because I was thinking the Nintendo route of like, do they just like open that whole plethora up as well alongside of Marvel?
Because Zelda would be the perfect way to do it.
Right.
It's such a high fantasy game. It's everything you want. You could take it.
There is a Zelda movie that's supposed to be coming soon. I don't know if that's next year.
My other thing was I doubt they would do it because they already did this. The Secret Lair to me kind of makes me feel like it wouldn't be a thing. But like, is Tomb Raider big enough to be something they'd make a set off of? I don't think so. I'm just trying to think of video game series that have been popular for a long time that would have enough lore to fill a set like that.
It's hard to know.
It could also be a second Marvel set. I mean, I doubt it, but it's possible.
I was thinking that too. There are big movies.
Is that their Avengers set? Did they do it right after the Spider-Man set?
I don't think they would do that.
Me neither, but it is possible. I mean, like I said, I think it's fun to speculate because we don't know, and I feel like some of us are going to look great and some are going to look like idiots once they announce it.
I think the next thing to look at is a high fantasy movie series like Narnia or something.
The other thought I had in the back of my head, we're at Hasbro, do they pick something like Transformers?
Again?
I know they
full Transformers.
I know they only did a little bit in Brothers War, but like, think about it. Transformers is one of those animated series that's very popular with our generation, right? And it could make a whole set on its own.
Yeah. Well, and Transformers has a whole lot of stuff in their own.
You have Beast Wars. You have you have all these different generations of Transformers. Right? You're not just doing one. You have all these different iterations, right? That could come in and show, right? So to me, I think I doubt it, but it could be a possibility.
Yeah, something like that would make sense. Especially Transformers has such a deep and rich lore and huge fan base and everything. Something like that would make a lot of sense, and because it's within Hasbro, it would be easy for them to make sure that they're able to.
That's what I think too.
IP.
Yeah,
but. I think, I don't know, I think what you're saying with high fantasy makes sense. I don't know that it would be Witcher or any of the Elder Scrolls games, because they don't, and I don't know, maybe they're not thinking like this, but they don't have anything that's really coming up soon. So I don't know if they'd want to wait for that to say like, hey, look, we've got Elder Scrolls 6 and we've got The Witcher 4 that are coming out in the next like 5 years. So let's push this back.
Because I think it's easy to believe that they're planning these UB sets out at this point, way out in the future, probably. So that's why I was asking: was there anything big coming out next fall that would like be a signpost for that set?
I can't think of anything. I mean, like everything that's coming out is like, I'm gonna say the big D word. It's Disney related because like next year is the next Avatar movie, which I mean that's big for me because like I love Avatar.
Yeah.
And for some
the
other
last
people,
Airbender was super cool.
Shut the freaking mouth. Anyways, but like there's also all the other Marvel stuff too.
Let me play devil's advocate again.
Here we go.
Is there any world where Magic makes a set based on an anime or manga?
I think so. So the thing I've thought about a lot, I don't know if it's going to happen, but within the anime community, one of the best selling mangas and the best viewed animes over the last couple of years has been Jujutsu Kaisen, which is based primarily on Bleach. Been rewatching Bleach a lot, and Bleach has had a huge resurgence within the anime community, and it's
especially
been rated
with the new show. That
it's been rated extremely high, both the manga and the anime. And Bleach doesn't have any kind of significant card game of its own. One Piece does. That's
I was going to say,
pretty well.
I think One Piece is the obvious one, but you can't because it's got its own game. Dragon Ball Z has its own game. They're going to be tough
They
to
have
kind
cards
of take
that are
from.
when you look at them in the past. Both of those anime and manga have had their own card games in the past that did not do well.
No,
but
One Piece
now,
is slamming
for
right
some
now.
reason,
Yeah.
they're doing super good. And I think with Pokemon and Magic doing as well as they are, there's a lot of people that are coming back into the TCG fold. But Bleach doesn't have that presence, and I feel like it would make a lot of sense for Bleach. But if we're looking at it as Magic is planning these sets 2 years in advance, like they say, like Wizards says that they are, there's no way that it's Bleach this year because Bleach was not seeing the success 2 years ago.
So but Jujutsu Kaisen's been out for a few years, right?
Yeah.
But my thought is
like one
what's
season.
What's that anime that's there? Like I know Demon Slayer's been popular this year, but it wouldn't have been 2 years ago.
The big ones to look at that are really
My
big
Heroes.
is My Hero because it's finishing up. It's almost done. They just finished the last
They
chapter.
have their
of
own
the
card
manga.
game, which again could be kind of a tough.
Well,
they're technically within.
They're
part of that other thing.
Yeah,
now,
they sucked it into something else. Yeah.
So, but I think the thing that if you look back at like really big anime or manga franchises that don't have something like that pre-established, what are you doing?
Naruto.
That was actually one of my guesses.
Naruto.
I wasn't sure if it would be.
I think that's
enough
perfect
to-
for it.
Naruto. Sorry, the first thing I thought of was Anderson from
gosh.
Hellsing. Sorry, I was like, "What are you doing?" And then I realized what you're doing.
But I mean, I could see the only reason anime or manga comes to my mind is now you're taking Magic and you're delivering it to a fan base that probably some of them already play Magic, but some of them probably don't.
Yeah.
Right? I think that's why One Piece's card game is done so well. Is because you're taking one of the most beloved anime/mangas of all time, and you're actually representing. Like when I started kind of selling the game on TCG Player, I started looking up the lore. I'm like, oh, they're actually doing a half decent job at like showing off these characters and like really making this a thing. And it's like, oh, well, then it makes sense why it's doing well. You know.
I think that's a great idea. Well, you ready for my last question?
I would love your last question.
Give me one card. I don't need its actual ability. I don't need anything. I just need the character and maybe what it does. That'd be cool. Yeah. Give me one card from the Spongebob Secret Lair that you want to see. That's not a question, I know. But, well, okay, what is one card you want? Okay, whatever.
Command Tower's the pineapple. Like, we all know. Like, let's be honest. Like, we all hate it, but we all know it's the
Command
answer.
Tower's the pineapple. I think it would be really funny if the Command Tower was like Squidward's
Is
Easter Island
Arcane
head.
Signet the Krusty Krab? I'm just kidding. Like,
No,
'cause
Arcane
you know
Signet
what-
is Patrick's Rock.
Because what you have to do, right, is if you're gonna make those support cards in it, you have to make them in like if SpongeBob's gonna be a commander,
Soul Ring is Patrick.
you know they
Yeah,
have to have
it's
Soul Ring,
right.
Arcane Signet, and Command Tower somewhat in that space.
Yeah.
They've done that in the past. The problem is I have no idea what space they'd take it in.
Oh, I don't.
You look at something like Fortnite, and they just did a random card.
So do you think that they're going to be mechanically unique, or are they going to be?
No, they will not be
No,
mechanically
no,
unique.
they'll be reskins.
Wizards had said that they're pretty much going to avoid that.
So Sandy is Chatterfang.
That's fine. I mean,
I actually could see I don't
Maybe
know
Tusky
who it would be.
Would be cool.
Yeah.
But I could see them finding some sort of archetype where they all sit in together.
That'd
so you
be
could
cool.
play all of them.
Oh yeah.
Wizards has seemed to like these secret layers where the main card is a commander and all the other cards fit into the so-called 99 of that
What-
deck. I don't know what Spongebob would be,
What's
but I
gonna
mean, I could see
suck?
some world where all of them fit the same deck.
SpongeBob would end up being like some kind of 5-color. If the only thing that I could see that makes sense is SpongeBob is Jodo the Unifier,
It'd be so good.
That'd be so
Oh,
funny.
It'd be
man.
such a
What's gonna
meme.
and then
Suck.
everyone else fits in.
What's gonna suck is like if SpongeBob is the only named character, and then they just like put the other characters in the background.
I'm gonna
of
call
other
it now.
cards.
I think SpongeBob. People are gonna be mad for the first 2 weeks after it gets shown, and no one's gonna ever see a card at their table.
Oh yeah.
You're gonna have that one guy at every shop that maybe cares a
Who
little
can
bit
do the
about
laugh
it,
like perfectly?
but
Yeah.
like it's just not gonna be. How many Stranger Things cards do you see? Not in our play group because none of us play them.
Yeah.
But like I've never seen one in the wild. So just
Yeah.
I
Street
apologize.
Fighter.
I've seen Street Fighter in the wild, but I
Yeah.
haven't seen.
I've seen Street Fighter in the Wild. I haven't even heard about Stranger Things until like I was watching a CEDH podcast, and they talked about it for the first time ever. And they were like, "Who are those people?" And they were like, "Oh, it's the Stranger Things cards." And they were like, "Yeah, that card sucks."
Because then they
Yeah.
made the magic versions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think. I
The
don't know.
Friends Forever
Yes.
mechanic. Oh man, I forgot about that.
I don't know. I mean, my opinion on SpongeBob is it's going to be a meme. The people who care are going to care. If SpongeBob's a halfway relevant commander, you're going to see SpongeBob, but otherwise I just don't think.
Joda.
SpongeBob.
I think it's just one of those things where like I'm not opposed to it at all. I'm not going to buy it, but my philosophy's always been if that's the thing you want in Magic, like buy it and play it. I've always been that player that's like play the things you want to play. I might groan when somebody plays Miller. He might give you a hard time when you play your discard based decks. But it's not because I don't like the strategies.
Looks over at Tiny Buck.
It's just like sometimes those have negative opinions in the community, but I don't care because I know that as a token player, people don't like me.
Yeah.
It's just it is what it is. I think the interesting thing that I'm really hoping for next year on Magic it isn't just commanders that I can make content. It's also because
Milk the cow.
kind of
Say
built the
milk the
channel on
cow.
that. But I want sets to continue to have support for previous archetypes as well. Like I hope that the vehicle set isn't just vehicles.set and that there's other relevant artifact type things that pay off in other decks, and we see this continue to happen. I have a feeling that I am going to be both really excited and let down by Tarkir. I have a feeling there's going to be things that take me over the moon, and there's going to be things that really let me down because that's just Wizards in 2025.
Back to Ravnica.
Well, I feel like for you personally with that, I mean, you're going to be really excited for the full art plans, and then you're going to find something that just like irks you to the max, and that's going to be insane.
I'm really stoked to buy 30 of them for Strident Goreclaw, and then find something on the art I hate, and every time I draw one, I'm going to be thinking about
You're
it.
going to be like,
Now, to play the, I mean, we have absolutely no idea, so let's kick the can down the road even more. I'm very intrigued. So they pushed Lorwyn back to 2026, right, to have this unnamed Universes Beyond
makes me
set.
sad.
So we know we have Lorwyn and going back to Arcavios, aka Strixhaven, in 2026. Very intrigued to see what those two sets look like.
Yeah, more scarecrows from Lorwyn.
I think Lorwyn is a super cool set. I really like the idea, and I brought it up earlier. I've always thought, like, since I did a lot of research back into previous Magic sets, I've always thought Lorwyn was like the most interesting and coolest block that I like because it plays within itself so well. Granted, a lot of that is because they had to add a lot of changelings to like fill out some of these archetypes and stuff, but still, I think Lorwyn was super cool, and I liked the art a lot, obviously, because a lot of that art fits within a specific.
The one
theme
hope
and
I have
style.
for this return to Lorwyn is fairies as a tribe still need a lot of love.
Yeah.
That deck still just can't flush itself out to unless you're playing flying tribal or you're playing these other sub synergies. I'm not saying we need another Tegwell that's like double what Tegwell does. I'm just saying we need more good fairy support to make that tribe better on its own.
I think it's good. It needs to be better, for sure.
I'm trying to now remember Tree Folk being a relevant tribe would be fun.
Yeah.
I mean, really all it's gotten is Doran. Like, Treebeard's great, but Treebeard doesn't really...
It got some help from...
Fangorn from the Lord of the Rings, was cool.
I was like,
but,
what set was that?
right, Lorwyn was that Selesnya Tree Folk. So it'd be kind of interesting to see what that does there.
I want to see a bunch of Kithkin.
Yes, Kithkin, and like I
So
said...
did you see I think it was a week or so ago, somebody on Reddit was asking, do they merge Kithkin and Halflings together? Do you
yeah,
try
I
to
did see
super
that.
type them together
I think
because
they
they
can.
kind of play in the same space?
I think
And
they
if
can.
they do, which do they keep?
They'd probably keep the halfling
That's what I
because
was
of Lord of the Rings,
Yeah.
which makes sense.
And they've done this before. They merged hound and dogs together.
Mhm.
Now every hound is now a dog.
Or
Naga no
lizard.
longer exists as a type.
It's
They're all
snake.
snakes now.
Yeah. Which I think is perfect.
I think it's possible. I mean, I'd be very interested to see, but I mean, that's all, of course, way down. Funny. I think it's funny that the day we're recording this, which is funny for the viewers, literally Aetherdrift's first look is tomorrow.
Yeah.
So we're talking about Aetherdrift.
And have no
By the time
idea.
this comes out, we're going to have already seen the first look for Aetherdrift.
Yeah.
So everything we say here is going to either immediately be
Disclosure,
good.
yes. Sorry for
Yeah.
the disclosure that we totally put at the very beginning of this video. So if you've been watching this now and you're like, oh my gosh, guys, these freaking idiots.
That'd be so funny. How many comments do you think you would get telling us
Probably
we're
a
killing?
lot.
Literally 15 minutes into the video, it's going to be, Aetherdrift's already out. What do you mean?
Yeah, I mean, I'll say, I mean, I don't know how much percentage of our viewers watch our podcast. Our podcast obviously used to be a lot more prevalent, right, than it is
Sorry.
now. I think that's the one thing I'd like to see us do better in 2025 is bring the podcast back.
Yeah, Josh, be on the podcast.
Because you know what? The one thing that YouTube needs is another Magic podcast.
I
And I just
agree,
feel like we need
100%.
to
Oh,
do
there's
that.
definitely not enough.
Listen, I need to be filling my day with 5 podcasts every single day so I can
I
not
also
work.
feel like we need to name it something different so that we can just have another podcast that's produced videos on our channel. Because our original podcast and Commander Recruit were not enough. We need another new one.
Hey, so that's the thing. We're going to leave that up to you as the viewer.
Do you want Josh on the podcast?
Do you want Josh on the podcast? Do you want us to have a different name? If you do, what should it be? And if you have any questions for us, only ask Millzy because he doesn't answer them.
What do you mean? I've answered a lot of questions.
I know. Well,
I still can't talk about the day I spent in court, but that's for another episode.
anyways, I don't have anything else. Anybody have anything else?
No, man. I have no idea how long this episode is.
Me too.
Other than cutting out the obvious things, I think we're just going to put this out as whatever it is.
It's gonna be great. Full disclosure, we're in my new house. That's why we're on the floor.
It's great.
It's
Yeah.
fantastic. This floor is very comfy.
If there's anything we can
sure.
praise from this year, it was y'all moving, because y'all needed to move.
Yes, this is
Yeah.
very true.
It's funny, you know, I think our play group's gone through some changes this year with life happening, right? The start of this year was a little bit less often for some of us because of kiddos being born and things like that. I feel like we're now finally hitting that age for all of our kiddos where it's easier to get back together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Andrew, I feel like, is the only one that's still kind of involved in it a little bit just because of what age his kiddo
Of
is.
course.
But I'm really excited to see, you know, what our play group looks like in the next year as well. You know, I think all of us still really want to make content. It's just been an issue for us not having a good space or getting us all together because of work schedules. So I'm excited to see if we can fix that and then gameplay is something we still want to make.
Oh yeah.
We've just never been able to make it to the standard that we want to make it, and we don't want to just
Release crap.
yeah.
Well, with that, thank you guys and gals and all of in the things. We love you guys.
Thank you,
Here's
thank you, summoners. No, I'm saying not planeswalkers. I mean,
Here's to 2025. Here's to 2024 because we're not even done with it yet. Golly, we have like what,
Get out of
what do
here.
we have like 16 days until Christmas?
That's weird to think about.
Happy holidays, everybody. Bye.
tip your waiter.